it. But today we have Pastor Daniel Wabala from Faith Chapel Church in Nairobi West. Karibu sana kwenye Karibu sana.
Karibu sana Buddha.
Welcome so much, sir. Please have a seat.
Yes.
Huku ndio tunaishi.
Nice.
Huku ndio nyumbani.
Olivia, jikoni iko hapo, simuona vyombo hapo ndo mali zina.
Nimependa sana. Asante. Karibu sana. Pastor from here. Can we just start it with it for the head? Yes. We are having, there's a crisis. I don't know Koba thinks, but there's a crisis. Twice in 1 month, 2 different pastors, 2 different locations. Unfortunately, one didn't make it. They died. What is going on?
I think God is trying to send a message to the church in Kenya. I believe that God is trying to tell us that we need to go back to the drawing board. A lot of the time when you study the word of God and you look in the scriptures, you find that every time when the children of Israel erred, God would send a crisis. They would either go into captivity in Babylon, or he would send the Philistines to come and ravage them. But surely, I think God is sending to us a message, the church in Kenya, that it is time that we walk up and go back to the drawing board to be able to reevaluate some things.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, and as much as it's blowing up in the limelight now, the truth is this has been happening, right? If we're to be completely honest. Is it an isolated case?
I don't think it's an isolated case. I think it's an issue that has been ongoing, and I think it is still going up to now. But we need to be able to look for a remedy. We need to find a way of being able to cut this thing. Yes.
Where is the origin?
The origin.
The origin.
The root.
The root, I think, if you look at all these cases, the cases of promiscuity and men going out, which is not just probably for the pastors, and I think the genesis of this whole thing lies on the marriage unit. I think the marriage unit is being threatened, and I feel like it is time for us to be able to go back and be able to reevaluate some things in the marriage unit, especially for pastors. I think there is a problem in the marriage union.
Theirs is a different ball game.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a different ball game. It's good to highlight that fact.
Yes.
Because we can call them public figures. I mean, you're dealing with people you know and some you don't even know.
Yes.
So are you saying, sorry Kroba, forgive me. So are you saying that these pastors we hold in such high esteem have marriage issues? Is that what you're saying?
I'll be very candid. I'll say that when you see something happening outside, when you see men going outside, it means that there's something they're not getting at home. Okay?
Really?
If you're full, if you've eaten enough, if somebody enticed you with food along the way, would you eat?
No.
Of course you
Ask
would not.
Kroba. Kroba is a
You're
man.
already full.
Kroba Tongeka.
So by the fact that these men are going out there,
Yeah.
I believe there's something they're missing at home that is driving them out there. I'll be very honest. I'll be very candid. As for men, when we marry for only 2 things. We marry for comfort and sex. That's the bottom line.
Even men in church.
They do that.
Yeah.
We marry for sex and comfort.
Yeah.
And if you miss this thing at home, it doesn't matter whether you're the president of Kenya, whether you are a bishop, you will probably find a way of looking for it from elsewhere, which is not justified in any way. And I think that it's time that probably we help these people to be able to find a way of working out their marital problems so that they can be able to be strong. You see, when the marriage is threatened, the society is threatened as well.
Who is Ninani? You know, ukisema the marriage is threatened. Now you're talking about the wife. The woman at home.
Yes. What are us Christian women doing wrong?
What are they doing wrong?
What are we doing wrong, Pastor?
I think it's not what you're doing wrong. I feel like what I would say is that there's some things that probably people are not working on their relationship. You know, sometimes you get married as a pastor and then you stop dating your wife and then you begin taking each other for granted, and before long you begin to disconnect. And after some time you find that you're just two people who are sharing a house, but you're no longer that team. You see, when there's no teamwork in a marriage, it doesn't matter whether you are a politician or you are a pastor or a leader of any institution, you find that it begins to affect every other area of your life. So I feel like there is some disconnect that has happened between the pastors and their wives. Because if there is a disconnect between these two people who are supposed to be team players, then there's bound to be some repercussions. Those are what we are seeing currently happening.
Let me ask you, here's my question. Explain to us the challenges of a pastor. Okay?
Yes.
What are the challenges? What is a typical pastor's frustration?
A typical pastor's frustration, I'll say this, most of the time when we stand to preach and we're standing before thousands and many people and we're speaking to them, a lot of time you find that when a pastor has finished preaching, they have emptied themselves and they're finishing on a high, okay? And after they're finished on that high, they're expecting that they will find somebody at home who is ready to minister to them. And this is what I'm saying, is that pastors' wives have one calling, which is a very big calling, and that is the calling of being able to minister to the man of God. They have been called to be able to refresh this man. You understand that this man has got nowhere else to be able to go and refresh other than coming back home. And if the wife cannot be able to provide a conducive environment of comfort and be able to meet his needs, that's why we're finding and we're seeing these cases growing day by day. And I think that probably we need to be able, it's a wake-up call to the pastor's wife, to be able to wake up and be able to begin to take their role and play their role better.
You see, at the face of, at the face of yeye kwenda kutafuta comfort outside,
Yes.
We were talking off stage about if you've been in an industry for a while, lazima ujue mtu. You know, lazima ukume make friends that you know, kama ningekuwa, let's say tulikuwa na college or something, tukifanya theology, ama tumekuwa tu in the same ministry for a number of years.
Yes.
Unaniget?
Yes.
You will meet a couple of genuine people in the road.
Yes.
But these guys don't have genuine people in their lives.
The pastors.
Yeah.
Na see genuine female
to.
friends, genuine male friends.
And this is what I've been saying on our radio program, and I've been insisting on this fact, that the church in Kenya is a time we wake up and we stop doing solo moves, we stop going solo and probably form something like an association. You see, like we are in a warfare, and most of the time when you're in a warfare, they're bound to be casualties. So we are having people who are on the battlefront, pastors, they're waging war against the kingdom of darkness, and they're getting wounded, and they have nowhere to go back and be refreshed. We need an association that can be able to take care of its wounded casualties. The doctors have their own, the nurses have their own, the lawyers have the Law Society of Kenya, where they're able to put in check each and every person who is in that practice. But as for pastors in Kenya, the Pentecostal movement, everybody is on their own, and each pastor is facing their own struggles by themselves. We have a lot of wounded pastors who are on pulpits today, dealing with their own battles by themselves. But I'm saying this, we need to be able to form an association that will help pastors, that will be able to safeguard their interests and be able to protect them and help them when they are wounded.
The association is a fantastic idea.
Yes.
But as for now, do these people have genuine people in their lives?
Friends.
Do you have a genuine male friend that is doing ministry just like you?
Someone you can go and tell.
Hata si lazima kuwe pastor.
Yes.
Anaweza kuwa yeye ni accountant kwa ministry. But within the circles. Unanishika?
Yes.
See, we are asking someone can go and tell. Me, I'm attracted to the keyboard player.
Bas.
Me, now you Asha him hot and my secretary has nice legs. Keep it simple. But you know, someone you can be real, man to man.
Yes.
Because you know, these struggles are everywhere. Everyone is struggling.
Exactly.
You know,
That is the question.
Is that place
These
to
people
confess?
don't have...
who's pastoring the pastor?
And that's the same question I'm saying. Like you see that when you have achieved some certain amount of success, I'm telling you sometimes it becomes difficult for you to be able to come and listen to people who you feel like they have not reached where you are. That's why something like an association is a better platform for you to be able to go there and just be honest and open up, and people can look at you and they can detect and say, we are looking at you and we see there's something wrong with you and we need to be able to fix it. All these wrong doctrines that we're seeing on TV of Panda Mbegu, those are things that could have been taken care of if Kenyan Pentecostal Church had an association, had an organization organization that was putting people in check. So you're finding, let me be very blunt, there is a lot of competition among pastors. So everybody is on their own. The only person who can understand a pastor is another pastor.
Yeah.
But you're finding that it is hard for you to be able to trust the other pastor. Why? Because everybody, it's a cutthroat. It has become a cutthroat
like
competition. It's almost like a business. And so you're feeling, if I go and open up to this pastor will use the same thing against me. So you go and tell this pastor, by the way, I'm struggling with the issues of women in my church. And this pastor goes behind your back and he begins to spread some malicious rumors that this pastor, by the way, he has a problem with
even if they are not rumors,
yes,
it will still affect you.
It will affect you.
Unanishika.
Yes.
But we are now not limiting you to have a pastor male friend.
Okay.
I'm not limiting you to have a pastor male friend. Personally, one of my closest friends is not even a DJ.
But you
find that we're in the same industry, but yes, he DJ.
But Clover, you understand that a lot of you see, pastoral work is not like accounting. Okay, so if you are to open up and be honest to an accountant and tell them, by the way, do you know this is what I'm going through? Chances are high that the accountant will not be able to understand you fully. The only person who can understand a pastor fully is a pastor. Just like a politician, there are some things a politician will tell you, you will be wondering, what did you mean there? You understand? But politicians understand each other, so they are able to be accountable to each other as politicians. There are some general issues that you can go for counseling and be able to throw them, or to check with your friends, probably your regular friends at the golf course or wherever you hang out. But there are some deep issues that only pastors can be able to understand.
So there's a place of humility here.
That
For you
is
to
missing.
humble yourself and be able to tell someone else. And this pastor should be trustworthy.
Exactly.
So you're saying two things are lacking: humility, to be able to go and confess to someone else. But even if the humility is there lacks trustworthiness. There lacks a
The
man you can
platform
tell,
for-
and you know he will not use it against you.
Exactly.
Because of the nature of the industry.
What it has become to date.
Yeah.
But you see, the Bible is very clear. It says that iron sharpens iron. So does a man sharpen the countenance of his friend. It is only when there is a proper body or an organization or an association where pastors can be able to sharpen one another. You see all these things we are seeing on TV happening. Everybody is like a renegade preacher. Everybody is on their own. Everybody sets rules and determines what is going to happen within their jurisdiction. And that's why we're finding that people are coming up with funny doctrines because they feel like, I have heard from God. But how sure you have heard from God? Look at Paul. Paul writes and he says that after he had preached, he went back to Jerusalem to check with his fellow apostles, Peter, and the core pillars of the Christian faith, to check with them if he had been preaching the right message or if he had strayed. And what I'm saying is that we need to have a body where Christians and pastors can be able to go back and check. You could be preaching a message that you're very convicted about, but you could be convicted about the wrong thing. You might be preaching a sincere message, but you're sincerely wrong. But when we have such an organization, it will help to protect the image of the church, number one, and also be able to protect the reputation of the church, which is at stake at this moment in time. Yes.
Wow.
So what I'm saying is that when we have a proper organization that is safeguarding this interest, then pastors will be able to sharpen one another. And it is through such an association that probably even these first ladies, some of them are hurting, to be honest.
First ladies here
Candy,
means the pastor's
the
wives.
pastors' wives.
Yeah.
Pastors' wives are hurting. So many of them. And they have grown bitter over the years. You're looking at this man who probably when you met him was just an usher. He has grown now. He has become a celebrity. And you can't handle it.
Yeah.
And you feel like now he's taking you for granted. And you begin to develop some bitterness in you. And then instead of supporting him and complimenting him, you begin to fight him and to work towards his downfall until now this man is forced to look for, which is very, for comfort somewhere else, which is not right. So if there is such an association, pastors' wives can be able to meet together, share their challenges, and be able to sharpen one another. You will be surprised when they meet together, they will realize that the challenges they are facing are common and they are almost the same. Then they come up with a solution. Then how are we going to handle our husband? Look at the story of, look at like what happened the other day in South Africa. You saw what happened between Obama and that other
and
lady.
Michelle and is it a prime minister for which country? I forget.
From another country. But you see, like Michelle had, her antenna was high, and she said there was something that was
Some attention is lifting.
And what did she do? She quickly stepped in and saved this guy some embarrassment.
Yes.
So what we're saying is that the pastor's wife have an awesome
It's amazing. Obama was caught. You know, I mean,
smiling.
that lady got his attention, and the whole world is watching.
Yes.
Sorry, you were saying.
And you see, the first lady knew her responsibility.
And she sat between them.
She sat between them, and after that, she ended whatever could have come
transpired. Through SMS to WhatsApp.
And I'm saying this, that pastor's wife are doing an awesome job.
Yeah.
They have been endowed with an awesome responsibility to be able to take care of this man of God and be able to sharpen him and redirect him and put him on the right course. Sometimes men can veer off and begin to veer off from the way, but their wives are put there to be able to put them in check.
Yeah.
And so what I'm saying is that we need to be able to empower these women who have that awesome responsibility so that they can be able to take care of these men and protect their image and help them be able to fulfill their causes.
Wow. That was Pastor Daniel Wabala, Faith Chapel Church in Nairobi West, telling us that the wives have a role to play. I don't know what you think about that, that the first ladies, also known as the pastor's wives, have a significant role to play in how these men turn out, how they need to satisfy them sexually, if I was to be blunt. Okay, so let us know what you think about that first segment of the interview. We'll be coming back after this short music mix. SMS line is 22155. Twitter handles at KTN Tukuza. Facebook page is Tukuza TV Show. Let us know what you think. And some of you have very interesting things to say on our Facebook page. We have Kevin Otieno saying our pastors are misleading the flock. But then again, we are human beings. We should not condemn, but pray for them. Remy Cresco says our pastors, wengine Z, they should change. Juu ya hiyo story, dedicate to them, arise and shine. Kroba,
yes.
Ni nyingi sana. Someone else says the best pastor nowadays is the Bible. It's become very hard to know who genuine pastors are. This is Eric Kogi Nicholas. Twitter.
There's an SMS here. And we're talking about this off air. Hey, the pastor is talking about the problem is the pastor's wife. Some pastors' wives are also under attack by the devil. And that is true. What we mean is, pia wanakatiwa. Right?
Wanakatia ngofasi?
Yeah.
Jibu tu a quick one.
Jibu. Yes
Wanakatia ngwa.
They're human beings. Let's not be so hard on them.
Yeah.
They're human beings, and you see, when there is a problem in the marriage, I'm telling you, each of those two parties, they're all going to look for it somewhere else. So what we're saying is this: why don't they work on it? And we need to have a mechanism of being able to repair, because this is just a normal couple like any other couple, and they're going through challenges just like any other couple. So if there are challenges, they need to be taken care of as fast as possible, and we need to have a mechanism of being able to curb that.
Kroba ingine?
There's another SMS inasema, I'm Vero from Nairobi. Pastors nowadays wamekuwa kama small gods. They think that everything they do is from God. So no one can tell them anything because atafukuzwa church.
Yeah, we agree. And that's why he was saying we need
that. That is why the topic for today is about accountability.
Yes.
Unaelewa?
Yes.
Even the member is afraid kukuambia, by then nakumbuka vile ulisema that is what we see.
Yeah.
Nikamsea kama kwambie umesema wife anakupatia comfort, Holy Spirit ndio tupatia comfort. I don't think that. Sasa nikamni kwa kitu kama hiyo was welcome church.
Yeah.
You get?
Yes.
Let's say kitu mbaya.
It's a genuine. Yes.
It balances on both ends, but it's just an opinion.
And you see, like in America, they had an umbrella body, they called it the Foursquare. It was able to take care of doctrine and pastors' conduct, and it was able to address so many issues of the pastors. So there is that issue where sometimes as a pastor you feel like you have gotten so much success that it gets into your head. You start feeling like you are building an empire. Yes, and it is in such a case that there has to be an umbrella body that causes you to be accountable to it, so that when you are accountable to it, you know that there are some certain things that you will not be able to freely do, because if you do them, your license will be revoked. So Kenyan, before the Pentecostal movement goes into an extinction, let us readdress these issues and be able to come back together and create an umbrella body that can be able to help pastors and safeguard them from breaking their lives. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, this conversation can last forever. Oh, awesome. Any more feedback on this very delicate topic?
There's another one, amesema, we should not judge because God is the judge. But at 70 years, the wife must be about 65. What is the guy doing with Viagra? My friend, he need a man, not comfort and sex.
I think we need to clarify that. It was alleged.
To clarify. That's why we have him here.
It was alleged.
It was alleged.
We are not here to malign anyone's name or to malign any family.
This is the point we rejoice that you're married to a lawyer.
Yeah, because, you know, we don't want people to say we use that story to ride on it. No. We're using as the church is concerned. We are carrying the weight of this crisis. Even as Tukuza, we are members of the church.
Exactly.
So we are asking, nini naendelea?
And it's a sad thing that it happened. We're not condoning that. We're not supporting it. But what we're saying is we cannot just sit back and begin to throw stones at him.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ said, if there's anyone among you who has no sin, let him be the first one to cast a stone. What we're looking at is, let us look at this whole issue from a broader perspective. Let us see, where is the problem? Because if we don't deal with the problem, there's going to be a lot of such cases that are going to resurface. And soon enough, people will lose their faith in pastors, which is not a good thing, because pastors have been called to shepherd people.
Yeah.
Pastors have been called to be able to take care of people's spiritual well-being. And if they can't be trusted, then we are going to have a lost country, because the Bible says, strike the shepherd and the sheep will scatter. If our shepherd cannot be trusted, then the sheep is going to scatter, and we're going to lose direction in this country. We need to be able to get to the bottom of this thing and be able to address it from the root cause and be able to curb it so that Kenya can continue to flourish in God. The Bible says that Christians are the salt of the earth, which means that as Christians, we bring flavor to society. And so we cannot afford to have such things reoccurring. That means that our societies are going to lose flavor completely. And in order for us to address this thing, that's where we are saying, let us not just look at the man by himself. Yes, he's wrong. But let us look at the whole thing in general. And we're not just talking about pastors, because pastors are still men. We are talking about the family unit. If you are a politician and you're not getting satisfied at home, chances are high that you're going to begin to wonder. You become vulnerable, so to say. If you are a businessman and your wife is not taking good care of you, there are high chances that you will be open to temptation.
Of the occupation.
Yes, because you're void, you're still empty. There's a part of you that is not being fulfilled. But if our wives, and I'm not accusing them.
I'm feeling attacked. As the only female on this set.
I'm saying that if our wives can understand us and be able to take good care of us and become our friends, become our teammates, we are playing from the same, we are scoring from the same corner. But there comes a moment, I think, in people's marriages, whether you're married to a politician or married to a pastor or you're married to a business person, there's some, yes.
There's an SMS that has come, and there's a lady and saying, I'm married to a pastor for over 15 years.
Okay.
It's such a torture and a lonely life. I'm divorcing to go get my life back.
Whoa.
It was a mistake.
Read that again. Please read that again.
Even though amesema.
Don't say the name. Please read it again.
Amesema, no, kuna namba tutasema, but I'm married to a pastor for over 15 years. It's such a torture and a lonely life. I'm divorcing to go get my life back. It was a mistake. Do you think Mali, let's say the pastor Rachel, Mali amefika, do you think it is a wrong mistake? Ama ni accumulation over time do inafanya ni a wrong mistake?
You've used the right one. It is accumulation. I do marital counseling time and time again. And sometimes you find that if you do not have a mechanism to deal with the mechanism of conflict resolution, you find that you keep on heaping and you keep pushing issues under the rug. There are some issues, of course, in the marriage that needed to be addressed, but none of them have been facing them. So they have accumulated over and over and over. And now it has reached a point where it is irredeemable. Okay? And you find that most of the time, because pastors are busy people, they are busy counseling, they are busy preaching, they are busy taking care of God's business. You find that sometimes they don't have time to deal, they don't have time for their wives.
And they don't pastor.
Even wives are struggling.
Yeah, if you ask me, you're your pastor. If you cannot manage your own time,
And
if you ask me, yani hiyo nikikuwa tu blunt, we all have responsibilities. Kuna ile si tukiwa kazi, mi sasa personally mi sijibu simu after 7 p.m. I cannot meet you after 7 p.m. Unless an emergency, dude, me I'll not meet you. Unanige, lazima pia mimi nikuwe responsible for my family. Unanifeel, na nikuwe na hiyo balance. And then mi naweza ambia Rachel, yeah, unaweza fikiria kuacha mtu, but usifikirie now. Fikiria 20 years down the line.
I agree.
30 years down the line.
I agree.
Unanifeel?
Yeah.
And then think about the decision that you are making right now.
I think so.
You know, most of our age, Kendi, Pasi, watasema, mimi niishi na uchali.
Toka uende. Who do you think you are?
Mimi naishia. Wanasahau 10 years down the line, 20 years down the line, when they'll be hitting their 60s, wanjipate sasa wako peke yao vizuri. Proper when you need someone.
It's very lonely.
Me personally, ndakwambia, if you're watching, naomba to write text, take your time. Take your time. I'll not tell you that jipige kifua na uende. Take your time and think about it.
I couldn't agree more. And I'm a woman. I can almost associate with, not on a personal level, but that's a hurting woman. And you know, there's room for counseling. Please, before you divorce him, try your best to work on that marriage. Try. That's what Kroba is saying. Please, mommy, try. I'm a woman. I know I know an emotional pain, but please try, because a divorce is not as pretty as they make it look like.
And I'll add to say that God is against divorce. The Bible says that God hates divorce. Why does God hate divorce? Because of its repercussions. You hurt so many people when you make that decision. Their children to be thought about, and even this man of God, you're going to leave a scar in his life that he will never be able to recover. And probably what you're just going through is a phase. It is a season. That season is going to end. And if it ends and you have made the wrong decision, then you will have messed up so many lives. The Bible says that weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Surely you must be optimistic
that
and look forward that the morning is going to come. And this man, it may seem like he may not be understanding you right now, but there will come a time he's going to understand you, and God will speak to him. If you believe in God, put your trust in God, then God has the ability to be able to work on this man. The Bible says that in him we walk and have our being, and that it is he who works in us both to will and to do of his good pleasure. So he's not out of reach for God. Cry out to God. Go in your place of prayer, and God will turn this man's heart.